This gentleman to the left of me is is a guy from Oslo, Norway. He's running a label called Pupp. Has been producing music with a guy named Hans-Peter Lindström, and is on the forefront of the recent resurgence of
don't say it. Don't say it.
of the D-dot music. And yeah, his name is Prins Thomas, and he's a bit afraid of falling asleep next to me, so please give him a loud and warm welcome.
Thank you.
So you see, people love you already. But how would you explain to the proverbial old lady on the plane seat next to you what you're doing for a living?
I would say I make dance music. That's the easiest expression to get away with. Try not to be too specific to anybody when trying to explain what I do.
But the old lady thinks of waltz and stuff like that. If you talk of dance,
let her.
You don't want to get into a conversation with her at all, huh?
I mean, when I was 9 years old and dancing breakdance, my grandmother used to put on Harry Belafonte and like asked me to do some breakdance, and I obliged. I mean, there was no reason trying to get her to understand what breakdance music was. She wouldn't get it, so.
So Belafonte was fine with you.
Oh yeah.
And what came after Belafonte? When you ruined your hips and your knees?
I'm not sure. Like
Africa Bambata, maybe after Belafonte.
Yeah, maybe.
And when did you pick up being actively interested in making music instead of just dancing to it?
I think it was about the same time, like 84 or 85. I'd seen some documentaries about graffiti on Norwegian television. There was a really good book called Subway Art that kind of got me enthused about the whole like hip hop culture, and then you had Beat Street, and I guess like all the kids at my age, it was the cool thing to do. But at the same time, I was taking cello lessons and playing clarinet, and my parents always used to play me all kinds of different music. Like, I mean, we used to go to the opera and see operas. Like go to the church and hear classical music. They used to take me to jazz concerts. So to me, it's always been a mixture of all kinds of stuff. And then I went from breakdancing with a lot of people. Suddenly I was the only one still liking that kind of music, and I was playing around like in my bedroom with belt-driven turntables and like learning to mix like the old school way, like where you have to push the record all the time to beat mix.
Can sound a bit rough at times, huh? Then.
No, I think I was actually quite good at it. Like it was when I later started playing with Technics turntables. Like I first time I used them was in a nightclub, and took me like one mix and it was down. Like, this is easy. Like turntables actually do all the work for you. At least if you do it the hard way first.
But they don't call you king yet. Huh?
No.
And I just interrupted you talking about how you started after your cello lessons and now the breakdancing.
I thought I was going to try to break myself off before any of you fell asleep.
Oh yeah, if anyone has questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Just wait for the microphone, and it doesn't have to be like a question round at the end. Yeah. So cello.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My life story. I played cello badly for a few years, and I tried to learn to play the bass guitar with a teacher. It kind of killed my enthusiasm for learning any kind of instrument. So
The teacher or the bass?
the teacher, going to classes and learning stuff from someone else. So what really got me into playing instruments was I joined a really lousy punk band in 91, 92. I was still like buying some early house stuff and still buying some hip hop music, but I was just taken by doing something new and yeah, I had like a punk revolution in 91, 92. And then I played in all sorts of different bands for a couple of years, and then got back to DJing again by accident. A friend of mine opened like one of the first house clubs in Norway and asked me to be the weekday bartender and DJ. So I served beers and played my old records. And after a while, he found out, well, I should stick to DJing. I was better at that. I was actually better at serving beers for myself than to the...
You were your own best customer?
Yeah.
That's always bad for a bartender. And was there a big scene in Norway at the time for like house music or dance music?
Like the early 90s to mid 90s, there was a growing scene. I mean, you had all the clubs put on house nights or drum and bass nights. There was a lot of stuff happening, and a few record stores opened. And most of it was based in Oslo, like the capital city where I'm living. But it died out, basically because it was too much to choose from, and most people weren't that interested. It was more like a fad.
Too much to choose from, like too many things going on, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were like probably only in Oslo, and I mean in the whole of Norway there's 3 million people living, so it's a relatively small country. I think there was still 40-50 DJs making a full-time living out of DJing. I mean, before I started making records, I used to be a DJ making a living of DJing only in Norway for at least 12 years. So there was.
So you played every day?
No, but like often 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah.
And is there much of a scene right now? Because you're not the only guy from Norway doing dance music and releasing it, like peers like Torterje or Rune Lindberg, and so one could, or Hans-Peter Lindström, so one could think there's this big thing happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a big scene, but there is a gang of people who know each other, and at some point we worked with each other in some form. But I think when like the commercial nightlife in Oslo died out from 95 to 2000 maybe, just went downhill. Some of us started focusing more on going to the studio and making music. I mean, for me, I cut down on DJing basically because I found it really boring to play the same places over and over again. And I used to, when I played in bands, we always went to the studio, recorded demos, and I wanted to make music. But I never had the time or the energy to do it when I was DJing full time. So I decided just to cut down on gigs and make music.
So maybe you could play something for us of your own music so that people who haven't heard about you or your stuff get an idea of what you're about.
Is there anything you want to hear? I'm not actually sure I've got anything of my own music here.
Maybe the... No, that can't be. Maybe the one you're least proud of.
Something. Oh, yeah, I'm sure I would bring that. Let me see. I'm usually so fed up of my own stuff when I'm finished with it that I never play it again. So what I usually have with me is stuff that I'm working on, like work in progress. Well, I have a, yeah. Well, it actually sounds better on vinyl.
You could use a laptop to flip through all those files. Music.
No, I don't have. I only have it on. I have everything on my hard disks, and I don't dare bring them out of the house.
And you don't care about playing with a laptop either?
No, no. That's too fancy. Yeah, this is a remix I've just done. Like, it's a bit of cheating. It's a remix on my own label, so. Thank you. Buy the record.
And it's on your own label, Pupp?
Full Pupp.
Yeah. What is the name meaning actually?
It actually, like, directly translated, it's an expression like full gas, like push the pedal or something. But it also means big tits. Like, yeah, wow.
And you're putting out only Norwegian artists on that label, right?
Yeah, on Full Pupp there's like only good friends of mine.
You don't care about other people then, or
No,
not at all?
no, I got an own label for all the other stuff, which is starting up now. It's called Internasjonal. Very
What does
original.
that mean, name?
Oh, it's actually Internasjonal in Norwegian. So.
And in English then?
Yeah, the same. Yeah, but like the idea was to kind of give my friends a kick in the ass as well as myself, and until Fidelity, like Lindström's label, started and my label started up, most people I knew, when they made music, they sent it out to English labels or American labels, and I thought I was kind of silly, like giving the attention to a label which basically didn't back you up or didn't pay you or anything. I thought doing a Norwegian label with Norwegian artists, hopefully it brought some attention to Norway and to, like, well, I just said it isn't the scene, but the scene, like my gang of friends. And so far it's worked out pretty well.
And how hard do you find it to keep a label running these days with all the lamentations about no one is selling any copies anymore and blah blah blah, it's going down?
I think that's felt mainly by the people who made a living of doing labels, or people who actually once had the possibility to get in somebody to the promos, somebody to be a secretary, whatever. And that's not the case with this label. I mean, all the money we earn on the label, we just put directly back in the label again. I make my living on DJing and doing remixes, so this is just a bonus if we earn any money. So, and I think we already earned enough to terrorize people with his crappy records for a couple more years without selling even. We can still go on. So
good for us. Yeah, you just mentioned remixes. That's what you do mainly, right? When you're producing, like you're in demand with your remixes. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how do you approach that in doing a remix, or
Yeah, well, I've done remixes mainly because I find it easy to do them. Like I found it really hard to make my own tracks from scratch. I mean, I can work with other people and have somebody else pushing me, but to make my own tracks is really difficult.
you have no ideas.
I do have ideas, but like it's with remixes. Like you have like the original track, which is alternative A, and with all these parts, you can come up with alternative B. And I mean, I might spend only like 6 hours doing a remix, and I'll be really happy with it. And I made a new track basically, and I might as well have said, well, sorry, I can't do the remix, remove the vocals or parts, and have my own track. But
Cheeky.
I'm not that smart. I should be. Where was I?
Talking about remixes. Do you have?
They come very easily for me. I mean, I don't know why. I might be very sloppy, but still I get offered to do them. So I must be doing something right, or maybe I'm just cool at the moment. I don't know, but
Do you actually have to like a song or a track if you get offered to remix it, or?
No, sometimes I've gotten tracks and I hated it, and just thought, well, I should show them how the track should have been, or but yeah, nowadays I try to weed out like basically the ones that's most interesting to do for me. It's not necessarily the ones that are paid the most, but something I enjoy doing. And I never have any rules. Like I always start with like blank sheets every time. Sometimes I use only parts from the original. Sometimes I like if the track is really badly produced, I might go to the studio and re-record everything. With some tracks, I've gotten like some of the stuff I done with Lindström. We made like just taking the vocals and re-recorded everything, like drums, bass, guitars, made up new melodies. So yeah, it's never any rules.
So, and you also did an album with this Lindström guy, right? But so you could fed off of his ideas, or?
Yeah, with him, it's I think the main difference for both of us when working together is we can blame each other. Like we both have our own projects where we always have specific ideas what you want to do. But when we work in the studio together, we'll try to let the other's ideas come through. Doesn't matter if you think it's shit when you hear it, just okay, let him have his. Yeah, it's a very democratic form of music making.
And maybe you showed us one of your remixes. Maybe you could play us also something that was very influential or is very influential for what you're doing, like music that inspires you.
Oh yeah. Let me see. I mean, I could play anything, basically, but something specific. This is actually harder than
you thought?
yeah. I mean, I'm inspired by a lot of different things, and for me, it's probably harder to say like what my music is inspired by, or play something that sounds a little bit like it. It's more like it's a mixture of all kinds of things. But
That's an approach you're also following when you're DJing, right? Like a mixture of all kinds of things.
yeah, I try to. I mean, it's not always. Sometimes I go the easy way and just play a bunch of new records I like. But I always try to mix it up and keep it exciting. To me, exciting is not just playing the same kind of records all night, or one specific genre of music, or to play with tempos and moods. And I mean, I like the idea, even though I think it sounds horrible when people say you're going to take them on a journey or whatever. Like, I like to build things up, but I also like to break it up sometimes. Just put on a AC/DC track or something.
It's like writing a book then, right?
No, it's like playing records.
Oh, okay. And yeah, maybe then something exciting.
Something exciting. Okay.
But you don't like to be pigeonholed, right, into that whole cosmic whatever DJ kind of genre thing?
I mean, it's one of the better ones to be put into, because
It could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. But I mean, I like all sorts of music, so something exciting. Let me see. Oh yeah.
You have to push play. That was epic.
Yeah, epic is the word.
Yeah. I think we have a question.
Hi. I couldn't help but notice there are some similarities with Lindstrom music. The sequence bass, the use of percussion, and a bit this floaty feeling. Do you think you can talk about Norwegian sound or Scandinavian sound, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, like we share a studio, so it's all recorded in the same room, on the same. The remix I played is actually a remix of a Lindstrom track, so it's not really that weird. But I think it's probably harder for me to say anything about Norwegian sound, because to me I think it's really diverse. But I think what we have in common is probably a different starting point than, say, if you come from New York, then you have one specific idea what classics is, and house music is. It's a few things that are house music and like all these genres, but I think it's more diverse in Norway. We have never really had any scenes where you stick with one type of music. So I think Norwegian sound, if there is such a thing, it's more about mixing up all your influences and doing something new with it. I think what most of us have in common is probably disco.
You said it now.
Yeah, oh damn. No, but disco could be anything too, at least in my ears. I mean, I can say I play contemporary disco, and I wouldn't be lying. It's contemporary music made for discos.
Right.
For free?
Yeah. I mean, if there's a track I really like, I mean, sometimes it's a good thing just to help out people if they sign a good track, and if my name can make them sell 200 more records or something, then why not? Yeah, give me a record. I'll listen to it. If it's good, maybe. If it's shit, then it's gonna be really expensive. Sorry?
Then you make it a good record.
Yeah. But well, I mean, when I used to do that, like, I didn't do that many remixes in the beginning, so I took all the chances I could. Like, anybody want to remix? I mean, I offered my services to everybody.
Oh.
Well, my remix services.
The other ones are exclusive, right? Yeah. Classics in New York. What is that? Like you talked about?
No, it's more like, I mean, like the canon of hits for, I guess, for somebody who grew up going to legendary clubs. They have one specific idea what classics are, like the music they used to play in a specific time at a specific club.
Okay. But you don't have any role models or DJs you looked up to then? I mean, was it all?
No, I always had.
It can come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, my first role model was a guy called DJ Strange Fruit in Norway when I was like 10 years old. He was 15 or 16, and he invited me home to try his turntables.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There was a big thing.
No, but he's followed me. I mean, we still play together now and then, like in Berlin last weekend. But he's sorted me out with gigs. Like, he used to be a well-known Norwegian DJ before I started playing out, and he gave me his support slots, and yeah.
So you paid all back now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And how much can you actually enjoy DJing if you're on a plane all the time, going back and forth between Toronto, Thessaloniki, and Hawaii, and wherever you're around? I mean, isn't all the traveling spoiling the fun then?
No, the alternative for me would have to be working as a secretary in Norwegian immigration office. So I'd rather sit on the plane now and then to do what I do.
So you don't feel like complaining at all, right, about what you're doing for a living?
No, I mean, I can complain and say I'm tired, but I never complain about traveling. No.
No, I'm just asking because it's some sort of an integral part of DJs and producers that they're always complaining about how it should be, how it was. Yeah.
I get a chance to read books, which I don't have. I mean, I'm a father of 2 boys. I'm married. I travel 2-3 weekends a month. I work in the studio more or less 9 to 5. So, I mean, to me, traveling is actually a relief. It's the only time where I don't have anything to attend to, or I can just sit down and read a book. And my idea is I'm being paid to travel, not DJing. So it kind of makes sense for me.
Okay. And how would you, because you're an international DJ, how would you say is the state of the club scene or dance scene worldwide?
I don't know. I mean, I feel I'm still new to playing like bigger clubs, and I think it's exciting now because I think some of the divides between genres is getting more or less erased. I mean, after like a year ago, everything you could hear in like the main rooms were like minimal or like this electro house kind of thing. I don't even know what it is, but I kind of like one type of sound playing all night long. And I think it's already getting more exciting, like different genres or different people playing in the main rooms, different styles. So I think it's going somewhere.
So you feel like a child in a candy store?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, to me, like to travel now and making a living of doing this it's my second chance. Like 5 years ago, I went bankrupt after not paying taxes in Norway, and I kind of like gave up being a DJ and found a proper job, which I obviously had to. Otherwise,
Would have ended up in jail.
maybe. So yeah, I'm just enjoying this.
And we haven't talked about edits yet, right?
No, do we have to?
I think a little bit maybe. So you are also known for doing these things, right?
Yeah.
So what constitutes a good edit?
I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of edits just to, like, for personal use, and that's the main idea. Once in a while, you make something into something special, more like an accident. And there's been a couple of times where I've put out just like 2 edits, like funded by a friend, and 500 copies, stuff like that. But I haven't really released that many edits. I feel there's actually no point, at least not at the moment, because the market is flooded with really boring edits.
So you think it got a little bit out of hand, the whole edit mania, and everyone is doing one?
Yeah, like with everything that's cool, everybody wants to do it. So there has to be a lot of shit.
But maybe you have an edit that you like with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I have. Let me have a look.
Ah. What is an edit?
An edit is basically when you're reworking a track, like not using the multi-tracks, but the
Maybe it's
on.
muted.
It's on. Okay. Yeah, just to maybe go in a little further, what you mean in terms of edit? I guess you kind of started.
An edit is when you're actually doing a remix of a track, but you're only using the track itself, not parts of the track or no additional stuff. That's like the basics of an edit.
Like cut and paste, right?
Yeah. Okay. So in the case that you have a song that you maybe you don't, is it that you don't like it or you haven't finished it, or like where would you? Is it something that would be released and then you maybe just go back and rework it and re-release it, or?
No, I mean, if you take a track you like, record it, and rearrange parts, then you've done an edit. I mean,
It's often done with old records, right?
yeah, but I mean, it's still an edit. I mean, radio edit. It's like
Yeah.
an edit is when you rearrange something or cut out parts or whatever. And I think the cool thing is there's to me there's no rules when you do it. You can take a shitty track with a good part or make something, or you can. I mean, in a way, what has happened is a lot of people when they do edits. Personally, I think a lot of people take away the good parts in a song or what makes the song special. But whatever works for you. I mean, I'm gonna play one of my favorite edits. It's like an old disco track by a band called Montreal Sound. It's called Music Part 2. I think I might have done some additional editing on it. So let's see. This is proper cheese. Let's see.
So,
To me, it's got a lot of stuff that's lacking in new music or new edits.
cheese.
It's cheese. It's funny and it's kind of raw. Like it's not like strict in tempo all the time. It kind of like usually loosens up the dance floor. Either it empties it or it loosens it up.
So one should never be afraid of the cheese.
I don't think so. I mean, I think there's too little cheese in. I think a lot of new stuff is too serious. I mean, yeah, obviously I like serious stuff too, but you have to mix it up.
So you want to play something else, or?
I mean, I thought I could play something that probably more people has heard about, like. You have like edit more as a tool. I think sometimes you can do edits or basically anything and sneak it in. I mean, I really like the original of this, but it's often hard to get people dancing to it because, yeah, I mean, this is the edit. So suddenly you got them all dancing to Deep Purple, and I love that.
So is there actually any musical genre you dislike?
No, not as a genre. I mean, there's stuff I don't like. I mean, I'm getting older now, so I'm a bit skeptical to hip hop made after '92, of course.
Oh.
But other than that, country, blues,
Pretty
jazz,
And
techno, like
you played that track that Daft Punk sampled. What was that again?
Breakwater. Release. I'm not sure if it's called Release the Beast. Yeah, but I think so. Yeah.
And what is your take on sampling then? Is it still something that is needed or that has to be done or today? Or do you think it's a relic of the past
I
in
think
order to make music?
I mean, sampling has always been there in some kind of form, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, this is dance music. We're not talking about composition or like. I think even stuff like mashups, which I personally I don't like many of them. I think the idea of doing it while you're playing, actually making something live, I like that. But even stuff like that is keeping dance music exciting and fresh. It always has to go somewhere and pick up some new ideas. Yeah, but I sample stuff myself. I don't mind. I usually use my pseudonym Major Swellings if I do a lot of sampling, because he's a thieving bastard.
You will get sued now.
Yeah, maybe.
Admitting it openly.
No.
Yeah,
First I have to pick the samples though.
Yeah. So, any more? There's another question.
What are the legal issues related to edits? Is it the same as for samples?
It's basically if you make a track, sample something, and the people who made what you sampled, if they care, then it can mean trouble anyway. But I mean, the general rule is if you have a hit song, then you have trouble. If you sell a lot of copies, but not necessarily. I mean, there's been people who's bootlegged stuff and sold 10,000 copies of stuff, and people still don't care. I mean, you're not going to be rich by doing it.
But it's still slightly immoral, right?
Yeah, it is. That's what's fun about it. No, I mean, I wouldn't say what's wrong or right. I mean, I've done some sampling myself. I mean, and I still know I make tracks. Like, I go in the studio and make something from scratch. And I don't think it's... I mean, of course it's like stealing, but it's just the same like sneaking on the bus or something. Like, in case society pays for it, it will get cheap. Like, more expensive bus tickets because somebody's sneaking, but... Well...
And what would you recommend someone who comes up to you and is like 15 years old and wants to start doing music? Just get a laptop or?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I would probably say get a laptop. You'll probably find some free software on internet. I don't know.
Cheating again?
Yeah. I mean, I think people should probably start there before they start investing in a lot of equipment. Yeah. Sorry.
Any more questions?
I can't
What?
say.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I share a studio with Lindström, and he's like the equipment obsessed guy of us. I only buy records, so we got a full studio with drums, basses, all kinds of percussion instruments, old analog synths, and like old organs, like a lot of stuff. So we recorded raw material for stuff there, and then I edited it together on my laptop. But I'm kind of clueless. I'm trusting my ears. I mean, I really don't know the terminology for all the stuff I do. I mean, I'm self-taught.
You're a natural guy then. Huh?
What?
You're a natural guy when it comes to making music.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think so.
Any more questions for Prins Thomas? You intimidated them.
No.
Then maybe we'll listen to something that lets us slip to lunch easily.
Yeah. I'll try to think of something here.
Nothing too exciting, maybe?
No, I don't have anything that exciting. Oh, yeah. Well, it's a good thing I realized I need to clean this before I play. Yeah. Let's try again. No. Yeah, final record.
But yeah, Steve Reich and guys like Holger Czukay and all that krautrock stuff, it's pretty important for you as well, right? In terms of...
I think like they not only were they there first, but they also did some of the like the freshest stuff ever, like predating a lot of IDs. And yeah, to me, Holger Czukay is still up there, unreachable. Though he's done a lot of shit as well, though.
Like almost everyone.
Yeah, everybody has to do some shit too. Oh yeah, I got this really exciting record. Some crazy Japanese techno.
But that's certainly not a lunch record, huh?
That's a lunch record, I think. Like Escape before I put on another one, which is even crazier.
Okay. So, really no more questions? Oh, another one? And another one?
Put on another crazy Japanese techno record. What was that artist? The Last Head? The Japanese. That's a little bit too crazy side. No,
Thank you very much. That was certainly enough.
yeah.
Okay. So then we're off for lunch. Thank you very much, Prins Thomas.
Thank you.